Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Did you all remember the time change? I'm recording this prior to Sunday, and so I'm not sure that I'm going to remember it. I know that I'm having a hard time remembering that it's March, let alone the middle of, almost the middle of March, let alone the fact that I'm going to have to remember the time change. So, wouldn't it be ironic if I mentioned it to you and then I forgot it myself? But in a sense, that's somewhat what I want to say is talk to you about resiliency today. Because, for example, if you do forget the time change and you miss an appointment or miss something and you get upset with yourself for it, don't. I mean, for one thing, everybody makes mistakes, and you're probably not going to be the only one who forgets the time change, even though you might have set the clocks or thought about it prior to. There's going to be a lot of people who do it. That's one reason they do it on Sunday and not Monday morning, folks. But on a more deep depth of a issue, I'd like to give you a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald, who said, "Never confuse a single defeat with a final defeat." So that what happens is that I found, especially with students, is students tend to find that something didn't go wrong. They messed up a paper, or they messed up a test grade, or they something went wrong, and suddenly everything's wrong. Everything's falling apart. Just in the past few weeks, I've talked to several students who've come to me with questions about their grades. One said something to the effect of, "I'd like to redo this paper because I'd like to have a B in the class." And it's like, you already have a B. What's your problem? But she saw the grade of the paper as the grade of the final class, and she had a hard time distinguishing the fact that she was not doing well on the paper, but she was doing well in the class overall. In this particular case, she just didn't read the instructions correctly, so she missed out because she didn't read the instructions. It wasn't that there was anything major with what's going on with the class. I had another student with a similar attitude toward it, that he just was finding out that things were just not working out the way he was going to expect it. He was not getting straight A's. Things were finding they were a little bit more difficult than he expected, and he made the comment something to the effect of he wasn't cut out for school. So I had to give him, in a sense, well, I started to say a long lecture. I guess it depends on what your definition of long is. And I've had other students like that, and they come up to me and they basically say, "We're not doing well. Maybe we should just give up on school." Now, this is just an example of I'm giving you from one school standpoint, but you've got that with a lot of things. People are saying, "I shouldn't try music, or I shouldn't try sports, or I shouldn't try cooking, or I shouldn't try something else because I made a mess of it and it's not doing well." They're equating the idea that they had a small problem, they had a single defeat, and now everything else is failing. Um, that's not true. If you stop to think about just riding a bicycle, you fell a lot of times. You had a lot of defeats, but you got back up. Driving a car the first time was a lot of defeats, if you will, but you still kept on going. Pretty much anything you've ever done that had any substance to it probably had multiple defeats before you got to gain mastery. Those of you who are musicians or sports figures or some such thing like that, how many times did you really have to mess up before you learned how to do something? Michael Jordan even made the comment several times that he was good at basketball because he messed up a lot. He had to shoot a lot of free throws before he got to be really good at it. So that if you think in terms that partly resiliency is to take a look at the fact that, okay, so you messed up, you didn't do something right, or it didn't come out the way you wanted it to, or some such thing like that. And you just sort of like crawl into yourself and say, "Oh, I can't do anything anymore." And it's like, no, start taking a look at the fact that you just did one. Now use that as a lesson. Figure out what went wrong and what you could do better the next time. Because your success is going to be on incremental pieces from one thing to another. It's not going to be one grand and glorious thing that you're going to start out from zero today and suddenly be a master at a topic tomorrow. That's not going to happen. I'm good at APA, for example, but then again, I learned it way back when in ancient history, many, many, many years ago. And I've been using it for over a couple of decades by now. I've been through 2 or 3 APA manuals by now. So it's taken me a while to get to where I am. Students seem to think that they should be able to take a course in, their first college course and develop mastery in it. And it's like, it takes a while to do that. So that from a resilience standpoint, the idea of to recognize that things aren't going to go well, acknowledge that, maybe be disappointed, be a little sad, But then tell yourself, okay, I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to do better the next time. Basically, pick yourself up and move forward. Take one small step, like baby steps. That's a good example I didn't think of earlier. Babies fall flat on their fannies constantly. Does that stop them? No. They just get up and keep right on going. Be like the baby. We've learned as people that if we don't do well, somebody's going to look at us funny, or they're going to laugh, or they're going to say we're incompetent or some such thing like that. If babies started to take that into themselves and started to have that impact their self-image, none of us would ever walk. That's one of the reasons that they're babies, because none of that stuff, it just goes right over their heads. In a sense, that's what you need to learn too. Again, this is difficult, and this to some degree is not letting a single defeat equal to a final defeat. Just keep practicing at it. And the more you practice picking yourself up and going forward, the more resilient you'll become. In a sense, the happier you'll become, because you won't be feeling so bad about everything you do. And you'll probably gain a lot of mastery in a lot of topics in the process. I'm not saying it's going to be smooth. I never said that. But if you mark down, say, use that habit tracker that I got you earlier at the year, and you mark down how many times you picked yourself up and started working at something again, by the end of the year, you'll do better. There's a quote, and I can't remember, funny thing, I can't remember right off the top of my head, but somebody said, getting 1% better every day. If you think about only getting better 1%, or even 1/10%, that accumulates, and you'll be, if you get better 1% every day, you'll be 37% better by the end of the year, or by this time next year, rather. If you think about it, just trust me on the math. If that boggles your mind, but so that it's that little slow increments, those little slow changes that actually add up to make the big difference. Don't give up just because something didn't work out today. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you found this helpful. And if you want to share it with somebody who also you think might be benefited, please do so. Just give me a comment. What do you do, for example, to pick yourself up? Do you have suggestions that you would want to share with somebody else about how you can manage to get over that? Just hit return and let me know, because I think other people would like to know that as well. And so we'll see you next week. And take care. Bye.